Can you tell that I'm happy? I don't think it's obvious enough that I'm fucking happy. Today on Readus Reviews, I review Justice League, the fifth installment in the DCEU and the third to be directed by Zack Snyder. So taking place after the events of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, the world is starting to feel the fact that Superman isn't there to protect it anymore. So much so that even aliens have gotten privy to the fact that there's not a Kryptonian on Earth. With that being said, in comes Steppenwolf and his army of parademons that Bruce Wayne had a vision of in the previous movie. So in order to stop his vision from happening, Batman and Wonder Woman have to find the other three individuals that was on Lex Luthor's hard drive in order to properly form a team and stop Steppenwolf from invading Earth. So if I were to talk about it, I would say that despite being pretty linear, the story does a good job hitting all the beats necessary in order to properly seem fleshed out. There was just enough exposition for you to figure out who the big players were, and what the new elements are that they're introducing in the story, all without bogging down the pacing of the movie. It also helps that the story makes proper use of both the Amazonians and the Atlanteans. And what I mean when I say that is that they were there to help establish the situation in the story while also at the same time establishing themselves in the DCEU, and to help with the character development of both Diana and Arthur's characters respectively. And speaking of which, let's just move on to the characters that stood out to me the most, in which case, it's every single member of the Justice League. Like, they were all great. Although I'm not gonna lie, readers, at first I wasn't sure if I was gonna like the Wally Westness personality that they gave Barry Allen. But after watching the movie, it works for this version of the Flash. Especially since it's established that in this movie, Barry Allen is still finding a personality. It also helps that Ezra Miller just gives a great performance as well. You can't help but to love it. I felt that along with their solo stuff, Bruce and Diana's dynamic were great. I thought Jason Momoa did a great job portraying the I'm a lone wolf at first until I realize I need the help from people that are like-minded and that I actually miss being on a team aspect of Aquaman that I enjoy when I watch the Justice League animated series. And I know this is a touchy subject for a lot of you, while I would argue that he was always there in a certain aspect since the very beginning, this is the Superman that everybody wanted. Other things I liked was the overall soundtrack thanks to Danny Elfman, especially the fact that he incorporated not only Wonder Woman's theme, but all three members of the Trinity into the soundtrack. And when I mean their themes, I mean their actual themes. Like 1989 Tim Burton Batman theme, which he created, and the 1979 John Williams Superman theme, both of which I didn't realize how much I missed until I heard them in this movie. The Easter eggs that occurred over the course of this movie for DC Comics I thought were very well placed. And yes, there was humor in this movie, but get this, readers. It was naturally placed in the movie. None of it was cringeworthy, and it all felt organic according to the personalities of the characters that it came from. Who would have thought? But if I were to nitpick, I would have to say that two of the things I didn't necessarily care for kind of revolved around Cyborg. The first bit had a lot to do with how his final CGI render looked. I honestly thought it still looked a bit too clunky. It could have been a lot better. And I was a tad bit disappointed with how they handled the first half of his arc. I thought they added a tad bit too much of the whole Disney deformed / cursed character trope that you could find in Beauty and the Beast or The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Instead, I would have liked to have seen it handled in the more man versus machine way like they handled it in Teen Titans. But outside of those nitpicks, readers, overall Justice League was great. The flow, the pacing, and the overall character faithfulness was good. And I thought it did a good job engaging casual moviegoers without insulting the intelligence of the DC fan base. Given his involvement with everything writing-wise, with the exception of the Suicide Squad movie, Justice League is proof that the problem with the DCEU is not Zack Snyder. It's David fucking Goyer, are you fucking kidding me? Jesus! I would definitely say this is worth a full admittance price in theaters and a Blu-ray purchase for me. So with that being said, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comment section below what you thought of Justice League if you've seen it. Oh, and there are 2 after credit scenes. Just to let you know. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.